Hello, friends. We're going to be talking about speckit today again. You guessed it. And I wanted to specifically talk about some enhancement, but also a workflow type that we have not discussed yet, and that is parallel implementations of the same specification. I mentioned it before, right? Like the beauty of the fact that we have a specification that is detached from technical details is that we can actually create multiple variations of it to see what it looks like, and then we pick the best and we merge it into main, our core product. And I wanted to show you this today on an example product that I have built over the weekend that is called Hawaii Diff. Hawaii Diff is a website that I built that essentially aggregates the camera views from Mauna Kea on the Big Island of Hawaii. So what happens is that there is a Mauna Kea Weather Center. It's managed by the University of Hawaii at Hilo. And what it does is provides a view on a bunch of webcams at the observatory, right? Like at the observatories at the top of the mountain. And this is always nice to just kind of browse through and be able to see the cameras, because it's kind of neat. Like I have not been to Hawaii in some time, so being able to just kind of browse the cameras and click around and see what it looks like is nice. But the view here is very inconsistent, right? Like here I landed on this page. Here, if I go to another camera view, it's going to go to like another page for NOAA. So we're going to go back, right? So there's all these inconsistencies. So it's hard to navigate and hard to browse this the way I want to browse this. So to mitigate this, I have built this experience that basically grabs all the images, aggregates them in GitHub. I'll show you in a second, and then provides this modern front end that allows me to just quickly browse through this and see exactly what are the things that are happening, right? Like the things that are happening on the mountain, very much remotely, and very much like I appreciate being able to see this. Now, with all these things considered, this website is built with Hugo. So everything you see here, like the camera views, all these behaviors of like header collapsing, the previous snapshots, all of this is statically generated. This is a static site. There's not a lot of fancy stuff. If I click on one of them, you'll notice that it's going to open the GitHub repo, and it's going to take me to the list of all of the different components here that exist. And I have folders for every telescope, every observatory component. And then I see WebP images because I care about performance and the fact that I do not want to pollute the repository with large images. So there's some compression happening there. But I have all these images that are stored inside GitHub, my GitHub repository. And what I want to do, if I go to my website here, this is hawaiidiff.com, and I go to the landing page, notice that I need to scroll to get to what I want to get, right? Like there is different cameras, but I have to just go through them one by one. Not exactly efficient. I want to implement a filter. I want a filter here at the top of the page that allows me to basically filter by name, right? And filter by direction. Like I have the east, northwest, east, southeast. And these are directions, by the way, that are from the Mauna Kea Weather Center itself. So some of them are inconsistent. You'll see things like up or Hilo, which, you know, again, it's not necessarily the compass direction that you would expect or like variable here, but that's okay. I still want to be able to filter by the existing variations. So what we want to do is create a specification, and then based on the specification, be able to quickly navigate between those different variations of the implementation and see which one we like the most. And then we take the one that is best and merge it into main. That's the workflow. So I'm going to switch back here to VS Code. And as I mentioned, this project is just this static site. It has a bunch of different web app components. You'll notice I already have a specs folder because as I said, I built this with speckit before. Like this is what I spent my weekend on. And it has the 001 Mauna Kea camera. It has a checklist and all the artifacts that we've seen before. Like nothing here is new if you watched any of my speckit videos before. But what we want to do is add a new feature. So I want to do speckit.specify. And here I'm going to specify the filter capability that I want. I'm operating on the main branch right now, but don't worry, because this capability is going to automatically branch off for me. So we're going to do speckit specify, and then I'm going to say I want to build a filter on the main landing page that will allow me to search existing telescope camera snapshots, actually telescopes, and allow me to filter by direction. Right? So, okay, great. So this gives us an idea of what the specification should be about. So we're going to press enter here. And this is going to also execute the helper script that's going to create new feature. We're going to see this running. All right. Now we're in a new branch. Okay. And with this capability here, we're just going to now, like, again, by the way, this is now in a PR. This change here that you see, like 002, I want to, there's a pull request that fixes that. So we're not going to have these branch names that are very non-descriptive. We're actually going to have a proper branch name. I'll show you this at the very end. So we have the capability being spun up, right? So we have the specification. So we're going to go to spec.md. Let's close the terminal because we don't need it. And we're going to wait for it to populate, right? Because like, again, this is going to be a spec for a new feature. It's going to be a new capability that we want to embed into an existing project, because I'm not going to spin up the constitution. I'm not going to be reworking any of the existing UI. I'm just adding things to it. And this additive workflow is very, very powerful for speckit, because we know that not every project you're going to be using spec-driven development is going to be actually a new project. It might be an existing project. Maybe it's something that you've built over the weekend that you want to modernize and upgrade to a modern framework. Maybe you want to add a capability to a mobile app that you're building. So this is going to be that avenue. And if you haven't seen it, there's a video on my channel that talks about existing project upgrades with the help of speckit. Go check this out. So now we're going to give it a minute to go and write the specification for us. Okay, we now have the specification. Let's take a look here. So we have our user description, right, that we did. All right, quickly find specific telescope camera. Makes sense. We're going to take a look here. We should probably have not that many functional requirements yet. There's like must provide text search input, filter displayed cameras in real time. Case insensitive. Yep, all of these are good requirements, right? So we have these functional requirements. There's some success criteria, but I'm not going to pay that much attention to it right now, because there's some things that it's not as important to what my core capability actually is. Now, you know what's coming. You've seen this before. We have to jump through all the process steps, that is getting clarification, putting the plan together, putting the tasks together, analyzing them, and then finally getting to implementation. But before we get to the implementation, we'll pause and I'll show you my approach to doing this multi-arm bandit variation creation based on the exact same specification. So stay tuned for that. Let's make sure that we give the LLM some time to go and work through all the clarification items and then all the other steps that need to happen. So I'll see you in just a second. All right, so the work is done. We now have the artifacts that we expect from speckit, right? Like, these are the artifacts that we saw before. We have the plan, we have quick start research spec, and we even have our tasks file here, right? The new tasks file that got created with a breakdown of all the tasks that the LLM needs to pursue to implement our capability. So you'll take a look here. There is a phased approach, right? Phase setup. So we have the setup, shared infrastructure, foundational pieces, right? We have our user story for the MVP, things like search capability and so on and so forth. And notice that the setup doesn't actually go too deep into the details that you see with brand new greenfield projects, right? And this is something that when I first bootstrapped this, the site, notice the tasks for setup, it's much more extensive here, right? Like, there is the initialize the Hugo site, configure base URL theme and theme settings and all these things. I don't do that anymore because I'm creating a new feature. And smartly, it knows, the LLM basically parsed the tree and knows that it just needs to verify that Hugo builds and my site actually works, and then start scaffolding things specifically for the filter, which is nice. It's, again, we're adding capabilities to an existing project. With this, I also made some choices. So in the specification, if we go, remember, clarify is your friend. If I look at one of the clarification items, it's what should be displayed in the camera grid area when there are no matching results. So center message and grid area with clear all filters, because I want to clear out filters quickly. And there's another one that is, how should users interact with direction filters? Because remember, it's not just that I'm filtering the cameras, I want to filter by direction. And for that, I chose drop-down menu with checkboxes inside, which is a approach to do this, certainly. But maybe there's alternatives. And so we got to research these alternatives ourselves once we get into a new branch. Now, because I want to iterate on these in parallel, I want to iterate on these two implementations. I can't quite do this in the exact same experience, right? Like I'm here, I'm in my branch, which is 002. I want to, and again, I'll show you at the very end the PR that changes this. But if I really wanted to implement a new capability, right, or a new variation of it, I need to switch branches. And I don't want to go and just add like a new branch, kick it off, wait for the implementation, and then switch branch again, go to the implementation. Like that's not just what we want to do. It's not efficient. So we're going to go back to my terminal here. I have my Hugo site running. We're going to cancel this. We don't need it running, and I'm going to clear it. And what I'm going to do is use git worktree add. This is the magic command here. You need to use git worktrees, and I'll figure out how to actually spin it up into slash commands to make it a little bit more efficient. But for now, you can do this manually. So git worktree add, and then we're going to use -b and specify the new branch. So we're going to call it filter alt, and then we're going to do the folder, and this is going to be Hawaii diff filter alt, right? And 002 I want to is the branch from which we're bootstrapping this new branch. Remember, I already checked in the spec. I checked in the plan and the tasks. I want to have a variation of the exact same branch in a different folder. Now, this also is nice because if I do this, right, we're going to bootstrap this new branch. It's called filter alt. It's going to go through the process and create a new branch for us. And the branch is now linked to my repository. So if I go back to here and we do ls, I have a Hawaii diff alt, but we can ignore this because I tested it before, but we have a Hawaii diff filter alt that was just created. So we have two folders, Hawaii diff and Hawaii diff filter alt. In my Git client, GitHub desktop, if I expand the view here, notice that I have filter alt. I have a different folder and different branch, but they're associated with the same work tree. Now, this is so much better than you copying things around, right? Like navigating back and forth and like, let me copy this folder and put it in this folder, and then open this in VS Code. And all of a sudden your Git client has no idea. You need to open an instance of the exact same repository and name it differently and get all confused. Like use Git work trees. So here, what we're going to do now is we're going to go to CD and we're going to do Hawaii diff filter alt, right? And we're going to open this folder now in VS Code as well. So we can keep them side by side. So we have the alt here, and we're going to have our Hawaii diff, the original one, on the left. So we're going to maximize the chat view just a little bit. So let's do this. Okay, perfect. We don't actually need the file browser here, so it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so and in the alternative one, I want to make sure that I modify the filter. So I want to, so let's go back here to our, let's go to our specs, right? The 002 I want to, and then tasks. So for the filter, so we're going to say, because in this context, right? Like if I want to set the specific active feature branch I'm on inside this view, inside the execution environment, I can specify an environment variable. Like speckit does support this. However, what I also want to do is make sure that, because it can spin up new terminals, is to be a little bit more explicit with it. So we're going to say, I want to update the filter spec in 002. I want to, this is a horrible branch name, a horrible folder name, but that's okay. To make sure that the filters are toggles, not checkboxes and drop down, right? Because I'm exploring a new variation of that implementation. I'm not sure which one I want. So let's take a look here. We're going to use this. I'm going to prompt it to go do that. So I'll help you upgrade the filter, change from checkboxes in the dropdown. All right, so it's going to read the spec.md, and it looks at the right reference and it looks at the right folder. Okay. And it's going to make the necessary changes. It does keep the right references, which I like, right? Like I did not necessarily like set any environment variables for it. I just asked it to do things. So let's take a look here at what it's actually doing. So I'm going to, again, maximize the chat box, and we can hide the, or maybe like, can I just do this? Oh yeah, I can do this. I can do Control B. So, okay. So now it updated the specification with toggle buttons, which is, again, it did update the clarification items too. Right? It should have. Yeah, it did. Pills, chips that can be clicked to activate, deactivate. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. And because we're in a different branch, we can do this safely. Like, I'm not necessarily worried about this specification affecting the main one that I have. And actually the main one, we can kick off the implementation. So we don't need to wait. So we can just do implement. If I can type. Speckit implement, right? Because for one of our branches, we can just kick this process off. It's fine. Let it go implement while we're waiting for the updates to our specification and the data models and the tasks and plan. Okay, and it actually did. Look, it did it by itself. It's like, oh, let me go and update the plan because plan is clearly tied to this. Great, great, great. I love how easy and intuitive that is. So let's see, on the left side, our checklists are passing, which is great. And here, we're still waiting because it's updating the data model files. So you could also parallel this. Like here, I have only 2 branches, right? So I have 2 implementations. You can totally imagine that in your scenario, you can have 4, you can have 5, and if you have a big screen, you can do 10. By all means, right? This can, of course, be automated. So I want to make sure that we are considering the fact that the experience that I'm showing you today is a little bit more compressed, right? Like this is a demo environment. This is a fairly simple project. And a lot of the things that you see are, they're iterative. Like it's fine. Manual process is fine. But the goal here is to actually get to a world where we can automate this process and make sure that the flow is as much as possible controlled, not by you going to the terminal and manually typing worktree commands, and instead use, for example, / commands, or use any of the more, I want to say like smooth workflows that allow you to move faster while still having this experimentation in place. But Git work trees, again, this is the capability that will come to your rescue many times over if you need to build parallel implementations. So let's see, looks like Hugo is building on our side, right? Yeah, Hugo is still building. So it has the warnings on out because there's a lot of photos on that side. So every time Hugo builds, it has to basically like package up all those photos at once. That's actually an idea for improvement that we need to get on the site and make sure that if I am running the Hugo build, just take the last, say 11 photos that we saw on the site. So it doesn't necessarily take hundreds of them and then bundle them and host them on Cloudflare because somebody's going to be paying for the traffic and that somebody is going to be me. So let's see. On our side here, it's still updating, which is great. It's going through the files. And if I hover over, edited quick start MD, and used one reference, okay, so it seems to be going in the right direction and I can actually hover over these files. And I love the fact, again, that it goes to the right place. I just told it 002 in the initial prompt. I was like, great, I'm going to go and update everything to make sure that this capability is properly captured in the right files. So we're going to give this just a minute to go and wait for Hugo while we have our spec files updated. So let's say what updated? Spec, quick start, plan, data model. Okay. Did it update tasks? It probably didn't. I don't see tasks. Okay, but we can keep these changes, right? So here, and then let's update the tasks to make sure that they reflect the changes to the spec. Great. Okay. It's going to read task.md and 002. I want to. Yeah, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Here it's summarizing conversation history because it's fairly long context. So it's just going to go ahead and start implementing things. And it's still working. So now we're just going to give it a minute and let it continuously iterate and make sure that it updates the documentation. We should be good. We now have two implementations. We have one on the left. This is the original spec, right? This we had with the checkboxes. We have one on the right, those implementing toggles, like the pill toggles that we talked about. So let's take a look. Let's take a look as to what do they actually render like. And for that, I'm going to go here. I'm going to close Firefox. Make sure that we're not actually cheating on this, right? Like this is going to be live. So here I'm in my alt. This is the pill implementation. So I'm going to do Hugo server. And this should just render a page once it actually hosts a server. Great. I'm not going to click on it just yet. So we're going to duplicate this tab. I'm just going to go one level. Well, actually, yeah, let's go to Documents, GitHub, Hawaii diff, which is the original one, right? So we're going to do ls. So we're in the folder, and now I do Hugo server here. I'm going to attempt to use an available port because the previous one is bound. All right, so we have two versions now. So I have the localhost 57305. I'm going to go here and 57305. All right. This is our original implementation, right? From original spec. So I can do Kurt. Yep, it sure is filtering them. Direction, if I do east, I can clear all filters. Great. Great. Love it. No. Look at that. It's nice, right? And I can also do direction, and I say helo. Anything that faces helo, and I can just look here. And of course, there's a Gemini telescope. Great. Love it. This works great. But remember, we have one on 1313. So we're going to duplicate this tab as well. And here, instead of this port, we're going to use 1313 because we run it locally. So we now have an alternative implementation. So if I go back here, notice this text box and direction. And of course, we're going to tweak the styling here to make it a little bit better, but it's here. And now here, I have my implementation that's alternative that I can also do like Kurt. Yeah, yep, I can totally do that. And I can just click on these buttons to filter things. Right? And what if I select these or, look at that. Or also like, see the variation in LLMs, like how it does things when you have nothing that matches the filter. Here, I have no cameras match your filter. And I have this kind of like box that tells me this, right? Here, if I type in whatever, I have a very clean version. It says no cameras match your filters, clear all filters. So I can pick the implementation that I really like out of the bunch, out of the ones that is here. I've split it across two different branches in the same work tree, and it's allows me to then iterate and then say, yes, I want this version here, and I'm going to continue iterating on it, and you'll see it live on the site by the time this video goes out. And I did mention in one other thing, and that is branch naming, because I wanted to make it a little bit more sane. So if you go to, let's open a new tab. Let's go to speckit, to our repo. You'll notice that I have a pull request that's been active since today because it actually updates some of the templates and the scripts. And among other things, and most importantly, I'd say, it actually updates the script that is responsible for feature creation. The most important thing, like hands down. And if we look at that script, it's create new feature. It's a shell script. We're going to ignore Copilot suggestions here. But what it does, it now has a parameter that's called short name. And short name is assumed by the LLM. The LLM is going to generate the short name and pass it in here because it's not being directed by the template. and it's going to use a proper sane name. That's not going to be I want to. It's actually going to be something like homepage filter, right? So this is going to be supported for both shell scripts and PowerShell. It is coming. It's probably going to be also live later today. So stay tuned for another speckit update. We have more stuff coming, more demos, more showcases. I am using speckit for my own purposes, so you'll see a lot of the demos become basically an outline of my side projects and how they actually work. So if you have any feedback, let me know. All this stuff is going to be hosted. It's going to be on GitHub. It's open source. It's free for you to use. And if you have any questions, comment on this video, comment in the repository, and participate in the discussions. I will see you in the next one.